In their ancestral language, the word Yanonami means human beings. And that is how the Yanonami indigenous people, inhabitants of the Amazon for more than 1,000 years, refer to themselves, in contrast to Yaro, or game animals, or the Yai, the invisible ones, and the Nape, the enemy, the stranger, or the white man. Today, the Yanomami community comprises around 35,000 indigenous people who live in around 200 to 250 villages in the northern Amazon, on the border between Venezuela and Brazil. Their community is composed of 4 subgroups: the Yanomai, Yanomami, Sanima, and Ninam, and each subgroup has its own language, which together make up the so-called Yanomami linguistic family. Throughout the centuries, most indigenous people in Brazil have had their livelihoods threatened by predatory interests such as loggers, cattle ranchers, and gold miners. Since the 16th century, when Portuguese explorers arrived in Brazil, the story has remained much the same, with each passing era bringing just as many threats for the traditional people. It is estimated that around 5 million indigenous people lived in Brazil back in the year 1500, in contrast to the 1.7 million registered in the 2022 census. In 1973, Brazil's indigenous statute regulated the conditions for demarcating indigenous land, and the 1988 constitution enshrined important rights of these traditional communities. But it wasn't till the 1990s that some of these lands were effectively demarcated and protected, which was the case of the vast Yanomami Reserve. As opposed to being a symbolic, reparatory gesture after centuries of oppression and persecution, the demarcation of the Yanomami indigenous land was in response to a humanitarian emergency. Survival International estimated that 20% of the Yanomami population died between 1987 and 1993, the result of violence, epidemics, and influx of illegal gold mining. The demarcation of the Yanomami land brought attention to the matter and flushed the miners out, allowing the community to experience peace for the first time in generations. The population in the Yanomami territory grew as a result. But the widespread presence of illegal gold miners shot right back up in the late 2010s, and the arrival of the far-right Bolsonaro government in 2019 made the situation much worse. During his 4 years in charge, Bolsonaro sought to dismantle protections for Brazil's environment and indigenous communities, treating protected lands as obstacles to agribusiness and mining growth. And this left indigenous communities to their own devices, forcing them to defend themselves against armed trespassers, clashes which often result in deaths. But intruders didn't only bring violence to indigenous lands, they also brought disease. During the coronavirus pandemic, much was said about the vulnerability of Brazil's indigenous populations, and that was no different for the Yanomami. Until June 2021, official figures showed 1,655 coronavirus cases in the Yanomami territory, with 18 deaths. Indigenous experts said these figures are underestimated, and in 2023, the coronavirus is still making victims among the Yanomami. Moreover, the perennial gold rush in Brazil's north has led to numerous diseases spreading around the region, increasing the risk of mercury poisoning in indigenous villages. Seeing the hardship they face today, it's hard to imagine a time when life was better for the Yanomami. A report from Instituto Socioambiental sums up the issue. Today, our land is invaded by 20,000 miners. They are bringing COVID-19 and contaminating our communities. This year, they have murdered 2 Yanomami people. We are once again experiencing an invasion of gold miners, and with that come epidemics, as has happened in the past. It is illegal mining that is bringing these new foreign diseases to the forest. Recently, the health crisis in the Yanomami Reserve has gained international press attention. After Brazil's Supreme Court ordered the former Bolsonaro government to adopt necessary measures to protect indigenous lands, the government deployed police forces to protect the population from trespassing gold miners, but it was too little and too late. In January 2023, weeks after the inauguration of the new Lula administration, Brazil witnessed scenes of a humanitarian catastrophe that has befallen the Yanomami indigenous community. The government declared a public health emergency in the Yanomami territory due to cases of severe malnutrition and malaria, Government data showed that 99 Yanomami children died in 2022 alone, and most deaths were from preventable causes such as malnutrition, pneumonia, and diarrhea. In the 4 years of the Bolsonaro government, 570 Yanomami children died under the age of 5. The Lula government created a 90-day National Coordination Committee to work on solutions to the Yanomami crisis. And President Lula went to monitor the situation himself and criticised his predecessor. Quote, "If Bolsonaro had come here at least once, instead of holding motorcades, perhaps these people wouldn't have been abandoned as they are now." End quote. Environment Minister Marina Silva was also critical. Quote, "Indigenous organisations sent 21 requests for help to the previous government and were met with silence and indifference to their suffering." For the Indigenous leader, writer and philosopher Ailton Krenak, the Indigenous people continue to be at war for 500 years.
"We are at war. Our world and your world are at war, all the time, everywhere."
An ongoing war that continues to leave victims. Despite the suffering of the Indigenous people, Brazil also has a history of crimes against environmentalists and Indigenous experts, such as Chico Mendes, Dorothy Stang, and more recently the murders of British journalist Dom Phillips and Indigenous expert Bruno Pereira. The war Krenak mentions is obviously an ongoing material war for survival against intruders, against illegal gold miners, loggers, and land grabbers. But it is also a war against a different conception of the world.
The big difference between the thinking of the Indigenous people and the thinking of the white man is that the white man thinks that the environment is a natural resource, as if it were a warehouse where you go and remove things. For the Indigenous people, if there is any place you can walk through, it is a place where you have to tread carefully, because it is full of other presences.
With the climate change agenda in the spotlight and its discourse adopted by global leaders, there is hope that the situation of Indigenous peoples may also improve, but their struggle is set to continue. Did you enjoy watching this video? Let us know what you think in the comments, and remember to like and subscribe to our channel and share it with your friends and co-workers. And if you like our videos, you should consider supporting our work by subscribing to the Brazilian Report, choosing any plan for just $1 for the first month. As a subscription-based business, readers are very important for us. But if you're not thinking of subscribing to the Brazilian Report just yet, there is another way to support our work. Quality journalism takes a lot of hard work, and coffee, lots of coffee. And you can support us by donating a cup of coffee on our Buy Me a Coffee page, and you can even get exclusive content and perks by becoming a member of our Buy Me a Coffee community. Join now and get a special shout out on our Explaining Brazil podcast, a question answered by our newsroom about Brazil or Latin America every month, or even our special Brazilian culture newsletter available on our Brazilian Insider membership tier. For us, it's not just about coffee, so go to buymeacoffee.com/Brazilian Report and support our work. It's really important for us. Thank you. You can find links and references in the description of the video. See you in the next video.